God. Mark chapter 4. Mark chapter 4, verses 35 through 41. Mark chapter 4, verses 35 through 41. Thank y'all so much. That evening, Jesus said to his disciples, "Let us cross to the east side." So they left the crowd and his disciples, started across the lake with him in the boat. Some other boats followed along. Suddenly a storm struck the lake. Waves started splashing into the boat, and it was about to sink. Jesus was in the back of the boat with his head on a pillow, and he was asleep. His disciples woke him and said, "Teacher, don't you care that we're about to drown?" Jesus got up and ordered the wind and the waves to be quiet. The wind stopped and everything was calm. Jesus asked his disciples, "Why were you afraid? Don't you have any faith?" Now they were more afraid than ever and said to each other, "Who is this, that even the winds and the waves obey?" I want to preach today from the subject, who let Ian in? Who let Ian in? I had not planned to preach this. I had actually started writing a whole manuscript, something that I have not done in a long time. And the weather report said on Thursday that Ian was going to hit Florida really bad. We did not realize how bad it was going to be. And the people here started making preparations. I understand that they were in the grocery store going crazy, as we always do. Ian, as you can see, Marcus, if you can help me find it, hit Florida and began to tear up Florida and destroy businesses, destroy homes and cars, and destroy people's lives where they had been working for years. I've never experienced it, neither have you, and you do realize that if that storm of that caliber was to hit us, and the Chesapeake Bay and Atlantic Ocean start to make love to each other, there would be no hope for none of us. And something come across my mind, Yo-Yo, and said, who let Ian in? What caused him to be allowed to come into the corridors of our culture in these few fleeting hours and wreak such havoc on us? My brothers and sisters, it's safe to suggest today that storms come into our lives to remind us, Tan, that we still, even on our best day, need to stay connected to God. Because at the end of the day, Ian ain't our first storm. Don't tell Mom I used that bad English, Violet. Ian is not our first storm. Some of y'all in here who are much older than I am have been through a many storm. Storm in your home that you didn't know what tomorrow was going to bring. Storm in your family when you lost a mother or a father or both. Storm on your job when you didn't know whether you're going to have a job. Friday you left with employment, and Monday morning you didn't know whether your department was a department that had been cut. Doesn't take long, Elvis, for storms to come. And I'm going to tell you something else. It doesn't matter how much praying you do. Storms, Corey, still will come. Doesn't matter how much money you give in the Lord's house. Storms will come. No matter how much Bible you read, storms will come. I don't care how much you prolong service shouting and spitting and laying out and getting lap cloths laid across you. It does not matter. Storms will come in all of our lives. And so, Marcus, we need to ask a question today. What did Ian do to remind us of what all storms can do from time to time in our lives? A couple things I want to lift, and I'm going to go riding my four-wheel and bid you all good afternoon. First thing I think the text is tailored to teach us today is storms will come up suddenly. Somebody say suddenly. And without warning. Look at verse 37, if you will. Verse 37 says, suddenly a storm struck the lake. Waves started splashing into the boat, and it was about to sink. My brothers and sisters, there's one word there that really captivated my attention when I perused this pericope, and that word is suddenly. You don't sometimes have time to prepare for the storm. Storm just come. You wake up one day feeling good in your body, and before evening time, you're in the hospital on your way to the ER. Suddenly. Leave home with the good intentions to drive 55. Some of y'all drive 45. I don't ride with you. Sometimes you just leave home with the good intention to drive well, and it's another person come out texting while driving and total lost your car. Storms will come suddenly. You don't have time to prepare for the storm. And when they do come, it's in the text, they not only come and strike you, but when they come and they allow water to splash into your boat and you begin to sink, because you do realize that some of us don't do well in the storm. I'm all right in the storm until the lights go out. When the lights go out, I got to go. Not that I'm afraid of the dark, but I just don't want to be without certain natural pleasures that I enjoy that come from electricity. But some of y'all, just like me, you don't do well in a storm. Some of y'all worry in your storm. Some of y'all stress in your storm. Some of you get all bogged down with what you're going through, and you start looking like the storm that's impeding in your life. And that's what happened here in the text. Jesus and his disciples had decided to cross over from the other side after he had been teaching to those persons there, and they got out on the water along with some other boats, and the Bible says suddenly a storm struck the lake and waves began to splash in the boat, and it was about to sink. Have you ever felt like you were sinking? Come on, don't fool me now. Have you ever been through such a storm that you felt like you didn't have nothing to hold on to? You prayed to God, but it seemed like the more you prayed, the worse things got. You came to church and you lifted your hands and you spoke in other tongues, but it seemed like the more hand lifting you did and the more praising and worshiping you did, seemed like you didn't feel any better. We've all been there. Storms come up so suddenly, you don't have time to get yourself together. That's why I want to park here and suggest, if you don't get nothing else, get this today. That's why you ought to always be prayed up. You ought to always be lifting up something to the Lord. You ought not miss church. You ought not miss in-person worship. I know virtually is all right, but it's something about rubbing elbows with each other. It's something about smelling that Bath and Body Works or whatever aroma you may have on it. Might not be that. I don't know what you're doing, but whatever it is, it's something about being in the house of God with the other saints of God, where you can rub elbows with them and you can feel the fire that's burning from heart to heart and from breast to breast. That's why you ought to read your Bible daily, because you never know, Dominique, you never know when storm is going to come. You're doing well today, and tomorrow the doctor's shaking his head. You're smiling on the first Sunday, but by the first Monday you're crying. You're standing up on your feet today, and tomorrow somebody's pushing you in a wheelchair. Storms will come. But then secondly, Ian teaches us, because of God allowing him rather to come in storms, secondly, teach us that Jesus is always in the storm with us. Now, if you want to shout, you ought to shout right there. That's a praiseworthy moment. No matter how bad the storm is, Zelda, Jesus is always there with you. Look at it. It's in the text, verse 38. Jesus was in the back of the boat with his head on a pillar, and he was asleep. Stay right there, Marcus. Don't move it. Jesus teaches us something. That when you're going through a storm, the best thing to do in a storm is go to sleep. I know you didn't want to hear that. Get some. Friday night, that wind started beating. Rain started banging. And I only had one prayer. Lord, don't let them pigs get out tonight. Because if them pigs get out tonight, Little Mitt's meat business has gone out of business. But after a while, by and by, especially when the direct TV started playing a funny game with itself, I decided wasn't else left for me to do but go to sleep. And that's not just a good word when Ian comes. That's a good word when you don't know what else to do. Just pray and go to sleep. Don't know what to do with your children. Just pray and go to sleep. Can't figure out why your body is acting crazy? Take your medicine. Go to sleep. Don't know why them co-workers acting all crazy? Lift the name to God and go to sleep. Can't seem to figure out how you're going to make ends meet. Staying up all night long ain't going to make them meet. Just go to sleep. Jesus was in the back of the boat. Bible says, sleep on a pillar. Now, let's mess with your theology a little bit. Y'all do realize that Jesus is omnipotent, omniscient. He's everywhere and he knows everything. Jesus already knew when the boat got on the water that there was going to be a storm. You don't see Jesus pacing the floor. Lord, there's a storm coming and I don't know what to do. What did Jesus do? Jesus, because he knew that at any given moment, whenever he got ready, the same way he allowed the storm to begin, he could cause the storm. Y'all don't hear me today. And that's a good word for somebody. Hold it right there, Marcus. That's a good word for somebody. Whenever you're going through, don't you worry about it. The same God that brought you to it You ought to preach it, boy. It's the same God that will. I wish I had somebody in here that could testify with me. Palmer, you talking right, because I remember when I got to it, God was the only one that carried me through it. Palmer, you talking right this morning. I remember when my storm came, and there was a time that I didn't know how I was going to make it, but some kind of way or another, God not only brought me to the storm, but he brought me through it. And somebody ought to let me catch my breath and just celebrate the fact that we serve a God who will not only bring us to the storm, but he'll cast through it. And he ain't even got to get up off his pillow. He ain't even got to get up off his throne. All he's got to do is speak. You're going to see it in a minute. Tell your neighbor, all he's got to do is speak. All he's got to do is just speak. Jesus in the back of the boat sleep. And look what the latter portion of verse 38 says. His disciples woke him and said, Teacher, King James Version says, carest thou not that we perish? In other words, don't you care that we are, Jesus, you and I, all of us? See, I got a problem with the disciples, because y'all done been walking with this dude. Y'all done seen this dude perform these miracles. Y'all done seen this Negro do all this kind of stuff. And now y'all saying, we gonna what? I'm not going to perish. I'm not going to die. Why? Because Jesus is on the boat with me. And that's good news today for somebody that's going through something. As long as Jesus is with you, you might go through it, but you're not going through it by. I wish I had somebody to help me with that. You're not going through it by yourself. I know it feels like you're going through it by yourself. I know it looks like you're going through it by yourself. I know sometimes your friends will make you think you're going through it by yourself. But the hymnologist Violet said it best. There's not a friend. I wish I had some help in here. That's in the red book, Dominique. There's not a friend like the lonely Jesus. No, not one. Jesus says, the disciples say, rather, Teacher, don't you care? In other words, don't you care about us? That's basically what they're saying. Basically, you don't care about us. You down here asleep. You down here. You're down here resting. You're down here snoozing. You're down here snoring. And up above you is a storm of catastrophic proportions that might cause us to capsize and cause casualties in this ocean. I need y'all to understand something. And it's elementary. You don't need a degree to understand what I'm getting ready to say. And I want you to catch this if you catch nothing else. As long as Jesus is on the boat with you, you can survive any storm that comes. Let me make it plain. Kim and them know I love to cruise. I would cruise every year if I could afford it. I love Clarence. You got to go, Clarence. You got to get Tan to carry you. I love. Now, y'all know why. There's a French fry line that never closes. There's a pizza line. Never closes. There's a solid line that never closes. There's an ice cream line that I'm going somewhere that never. Don't you see the happiness on me? But here's a catch. Some of y'all don't know this. I love to cruise, but I can't swim. You want to kill me? Push me in the water. I can't swim. But I love to cruise, and I love to cruise. And you know what? When I get on the cruise ship, that Italian or that Spanish captain, I'm never concerned because I trust. Y'all gonna catch it tomorrow. I trust the captain. So when I get on and I get to my room and I go get my food and I eat and I party and I do what I do on the ship, and what I do on the ship stays on the ship, and I go to bed and I get up the next day and I'm in the Bahamas and I can't tell you how I got there. I don't worry about it because all night long I trusted the captain. And somebody needs to catch that today, because whenever you get on your ship, no matter how hard or how bad the waters may get, because sometimes on the ship, if you don't get a room in the middle of the ship, you'll feel the ship doing one of these kind of things. That's why I note to y'all, if y'all ain't never done it before, get your room up top in the middle. Don't get no balcony trying to be no baller, because you're going to feel everything. Get in the middle like I do, and you won't feel all of this. But look, you trust the captain. If you can trust that Italian or Spanish captain, why can't you trust the divine captain? You can trust him, and he's probably that had 3 or 4 cognacs by the time he gets middle way of the Bahamas, but you trust him. Why you can't trust God that never sleeps nor slumbers? Jesus slept on this ship because at the time he was just as much human as he was divine. But after his ascension, he doesn't sleep or slumber now. So no matter where we go, no matter what the storm is in life, the captain got us. And you ought to tell your neighbor, I don't know what you're going through, but the captain's got you. I don't know what you're feeling right now, but the captain's got you. I don't know what you got sitting on your table waiting for you when you get home, but the captain has your back. And that's a shout-worthy moment, because no matter how stormy it gets in life, no matter how bad the weather gets, no matter how troublesome the water is, as long as the captain is sailing and riding on the ship with me, I can make it through whatever storm. And I got a word for somebody today that's in here going through trying to figure out why Ian keeps coming in your life, why storms keep coming in your life, why every time you turn around you are right back at the funeral parlor, right back in the emergency room, right back at the lawyer's office. Stop worrying about why you keep going back. Just look to Jesus. I wish I had some help here. He's still the author and finisher of your faith. And if you look to God, God will. I wish I had some help. Somebody can testify. I need about 3 of y'all, and I'll make 2 because I'm big enough to make 2, and we'll make 5 all together to testify to the fact that no matter how stormy it gets, as long as the divine captain is sailing our ship, we can survive anything. Jesus, I got to get out of here. Jesus, Angela, Jesus is on the ship. Jesus is on the ship. Storms come up suddenly. But thirdly and finally, Marcus, let's get out of here. Jesus has the power over any storm that comes our way. It's in the text. Look at it, verse 39. Jesus got up, took the crackers out of his eyes, didn't even wash his face, didn't put no Vaseline on, just rubbed the crackers out of his eyes, get the sleep out of his eyes. And the text in the contemporary English version, Dominic, that's why I told you to switch it up. It reads this way in verse 39, Jesus got up and ordered the wind and the waves to shut up. Look, here's another word for the note takers. Here's another word. Type it in the comment section. Jesus got up and ordered. Type it in the comment section. Jesus has the power to order. What do you mean, Palmer? What I mean is he got up and he stopped everything that was going on. Now, you got to understand something. It's very simple, elementary, very simple. Jesus could stop it because he created it. What do you mean, Palmer? What I mean is Jesus created the water. Jesus created the wind. And the water and the waves come from a mixture of water and wind. The wind gets under the water and causes the waves to be created. And so Jesus, the creator of the wind and the water, is able to control what he creates. That's why you parents ought not have no problem with your children as long as they're under the age of 10. Because you created them jokers. And anything you create, you ought to be able to control. You can't control your husband because you didn't create him. You can't control your wife because you did not create her. But you can control. I told y'all I didn't want the pigs to get out Friday, and I didn't want them to get out because I didn't create them. So I can't control. They might be out right now. I can't control them. But anything you create, you can control it. Anything you make, you can control. Jesus got up, looked at Ian, and the King James Version says he just simply said, "Peace, be still." And the wind that he created stopped. And everything, let's go home, Dominic, was calm. Now, I need you to understand, Jesus created you. And if he created you, he can control you. But not only that, Jesus can control whatever you face. That's why you can go get cancer treatment, and cancer goes in remission because he created you. That's why you can have dementia in the mind and not lose your mind, and still know your children and your sisters when they come see you. Why? Because God controls you. That's why when mama died and daddy died, you thought you were going to lose your mind, but you're still here. I wish I had some help here now. And therefore, if you're still here because he controls you. But it's not the end of the story. Jesus asked his disciples, "Why are you so afraid?" And I want to ask you today, why are you so afraid? If Jesus is your captain, why are you so scared? You ought not be scared because God is always with you. Come on, let's get out of here. God is always beside you. God is always in your house. If you call on him, he will come. They sing it at Calvary, when I call on the Lord, he will come to my rescue. But then they got another part. Anywhere, any place, see, I know it, anytime, no matter where it is, anywhere, in the doctor's office, anywhere, in the lawyer's room, anywhere on my job, anytime, any place, anywhere I am, anytime the clock strikes 12 or 1 or 2 or 3, he'll come. Why will he come? Because he made me in his image. He'll come because he made me who I am. That's why I ain't got to worry. I ain't got to fret. When Ian comes in my life, I can go through Ian. I can jump through Ian. I can praise the Lord through Ian. I can live through Ian. I can do what I did on Friday. I can get in my bed. Pull, help me here. Pull the comforter up over me. Turn on my fan. Get it in the right direction and go to sleep. Why? Because the captain over my life is still in the blessing business. He's still making ways out of no way. He's still opening doors that no man can shut. You thought we were done. You thought the storm was going to take you out. I'm not talking about Ian. I'm talking about what you've been through. You thought that storm was going to be your end. But God got up off his sleeping couch. But God got up off his sleeping bed and said to your waves and said to your wind, peace. Anybody want some peace? When peace like a river attendeth my way, and sorrows like sea billows roll. Whatever my lot, Clarence, it has taught me to say, no matter what the sickness is, no matter what the trouble is, I lift my little hand, I lift my little voice, and I declare that the captain of my ship is going to keep on sailing. I like it the way the old preacher said, ride on, King Jesus. Ride on, King Jesus. Ride, ride, ride. Ride, ride, ride. Ride on in faith. Don't be like the disciples and not have no faith. Don't be like the disciples and not know who's riding with you. I'm glad today that I serve a God who's riding with me. Anybody want him to ride with you? When they get off the ship, you stay on the ship. Go to your cabin, sit down in your cabin, get you some libation, and say, ride on, Captain. Ride on, Captain. Matter of fact, Jesus, you take me wherever you want me to go. I'll go where you want me to go. I'll say what you want me to say. I don't know what your Ian is. I don't know what your storm is. But I got a word for you. If God be for you, come on, help me close here. If God be for you, here's more. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The palm of the doctor. I don't want to know what the doctor says. I know another doctor who never lost a patient. But Palmer, I got to tell you what the law, I don't want to know what the lawyer said. I know a lawyer that's never lost a case. But Palmer, I want to tell you what my boss, I don't want to know what your boss said. Because I know somebody that sits high and looks low. And he owns cattle on 1,000 hills. And if you call on him, I got to cut you loose here. If you call on him, anybody want to call on him? Come on, let's call on him. How we going to do it? Jesus is on the main line. Tell him what you want. If you need power in your storm, tell him what you want. If you need joy, tell him what you want. I don't know what storm you're going through. I don't know what problem you're facing, but I done seen some myself, and I'm a living witness that God is, I wish I had some help here. God is the joy and the strength of my life. He rules all things, enemy and strife. He promised to keep me. Point to yourself. He promised, come on, help me close here. He promised to keep me, never to leave me, never ever come short of his word. But I got a word for you today. When your storm comes, because that's not the end of the song, you got to fast and pray. Stay in the narrow way. Keep your mind on him every day, because he promised, oh Lord, yes, he promised right in the midst of Ian, he promised never to leave me. I've seen the lightning flash, I've heard the thunder roll, I felt sin breakers dashing, trying to conquer my soul. I heard the voice of Jesus say, be still and fight on, because he promised right in your storm. Come on, let's celebrate it. He promised right in your storm. He promised right in your difficulty. He promised right in your sickness. He promised right in your test result. He promised never to leave me. Never, Dante, to leave me. Anybody know he won't leave you? Anybody know he won't leave you? Come on, let's celebrate him here. Anybody know he won't leave you? Anybody know he won't leave you? I got a question for you. I wasn't here last Sunday, but I got a question for you. Won't he do it? 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 When you're in your storm, when you're in your rain, when waves are crashing inside your ship, hold on, hold on. God will. I said God will. I said God will. I said God will. God will. He'll keep you. He'll keep you. He'll keep you in your storm. Say yeah. Say yeah. Say yeah. Give him some praise. Come on and give him some praise. Come on, come on. 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 If you know he's brought you through your storm, if this ain't the first time Ian has come in your life, if this ain't the first time you done rode out a storm, if this ain't the first time you done been through a storm and you come out victorious, why don't you give God? Why don't you give God? Why don't you give God? It come up suddenly, but you got through it. You were not expecting it, but you got through it. And now your soul looks back and wonders how you got over. How you got over. Turn to your neighbor and tell him, I don't know how you made it. I don't know what you've gone through. But there's one thing I know. The captain of our ship is still driving. He's still navigating. He's still sailing. He's still got us. He's got the whole world. Yeah, yeah. Somebody done gone through a storm. Somebody just will cut loose because you done gone through a storm. You done gone through it. Your life is a testimony of what God can do. It is no secret what God can do. What he's done for others, he will do for you. Say yeah. Say yeah. Say yeah. Y'all just well go ahead. Ain't no need of her doing it. Ain't no need of her praising him by herself. She's not the only one that's done been through a storm. She's not the only one that's been sick and been delivered. She's not the only one that's seen things happen and change in her life. Somebody ought to give God praise. Yeah! Come on, put your hands together.